is Phillip Paulwell, Shadow Minister on Energy and Climate Change.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. I greet the future Prime Minister of Jamaica, my colleague panelists, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I believe you've gotten enough, more than enough reasons to vote for the PNP already this evening. Such absorbing, informative, dynamic presentation as from our party leader and from two persons who remind me when I was youthful, etc. So I am not going to in any way try to give a fulsome presentation at this stage, because the important aspect of this forum is also to hear from you. And so at the end of my presentation, you're going to see a QR code appearing on the screen. Just take a photograph of that. It is going to take you to my website where you'll see the presentation among other presentations. Because we have not been here just opposing. We have been planning to return to government, and that's where we are now. Things are tough for the Jamaican people. Times are hard. Our cost of living has been a tremendous burden to our poor people. And you know, I'm a 6th term member of parliament, going for my 7th term. And my most challenging term has been this term. People used to come, yes, they need help to going back to school. We assist them with roofs because those get damaged. But it's the first term that I'm experiencing so many of my constituents come to me to say, MP, I'm hungry. I want some food. And these guys, they don't understand why people are going to vote them out, you know. Because people are suffering, people are hungry, and this hollow ring of prosperity, pun intended, aggravates people. You know, it is in the era of energy that we have seen the tremendous impact of cost of living. And it's twofold, because yes, as consumers of electric energy at home, we have seen from 2016, when the price of electricity was about 23 US cents per kilowatt hour, 2016. So today, it's 40 cents and climbing. And that affects everything else. So when you go to buy sugar, when you go to take a taxi, it affects all the goods and services that we produce. And it is also largely responsible for our lack of growth. So it's two things. You have the cost of living going up, driven largely by energy, and you have no growth taking place. So even those persons who are employed, their income is not improving because there is stagnation in our economy. And today we are presenting to you certain, I believe, clear strategy to address that. And I welcome this, even though I'd have preferred to have a debate with the Minister of Energy. So I'm using this opportunity to once again to call out Darrell. Come and debate me in front of our studio audience where people can ask questions and we can answer questions. We have a lot of work to do. And there are certain things operating in our favor. Firstly, we have the emerging JPSCO license that in many respects has prevented us from doing some of the things that we want to do. But unlike the cable and wireless license, which still would have been running because that license would have expired in 2038. And thank God we had a government that had a vision. And as I say that, I'm so happy to say Yvonne McCullough-Sobers, who was the first chairman of the e-learning company, and of course, they were twins with Universal Service Fund, and I and the government, we were the proud parents of those two institutions that continue to serve the country. Very good to see Yvonne. But an important date is emerging when the government of Jamaica, by the 7th of July, must indicate to JPSCO what it is going to be doing with the license. And all I'm hearing is that consultations are taking place. This consultation, if I were a minister, would have taken place in 2023. And we've been in a position today to say to JPSCO, here is the plan. Here are the negotiating terms we are proposing. And just as we did with cable and wireless, to sit down and to make sure that the Jamaican people benefit in the long run. And what are some of the things we want to do? Firstly, when you go to pay your electricity bills today, 20% of that bill is not from electricity that you use, you know. It is from electricity theft. And I really believe that in this day and age, electricity must be a right, and it must be afforded to those persons who can't afford it. And there are solutions to that. We have seen, and by the way, there are about 200 to 300,000 households that cannot afford electricity. I hope I'm saying that right, Paulwell. We have seen, because we did it, when we established the first solar farm in Jamaica, in Wigton, in Content, in Clarendon, where you can generate electricity at a fraction of the cost. And today, with the improvement in the technology for solar panels, and the price has come down, with the improvement in the technology for inverters that convert the solar into direct energy, and very importantly, with the improvement in the technology for storage. That was a problem that we faced with renewables. That yes, the sun shines only in the daytime, the wind sometimes don't blow, but we could not capture and store that energy for when the sun is down or the wind is not blowing. We have seen in the last 5 years, the government hasn't seen it as yet, but we have seen the dramatic improvement in the technology for storage, batteries, so that today, if you have enough batteries, you can be supplying electricity for 24/7. And we're going to be utilizing solar to effect rapid changes in those communities that cannot afford electricity. And we're going to be establishing mini grids using solar, and we're going to be enabling our people who can't afford it, who have to be running and hiding when they see police coming, to pull down the wires. That will be a thing of the past. But very importantly, we want to empower you, every single Jamaican. And I'm going to tell you why it won't put JPS out of business. But we want to empower you to generate your own electricity. And that is what we call power for the people. Power for the people. And we are coming up with a creative scheme to assist you in funding. Not going to be entirely free. But the good thing about what we are planning to do is that we are going to enable you as well, apart from providing your own electricity, to generate sufficient so that you can sell additional electricity to the grid. So you're becoming a producer rather than just a consumer of electricity. We say power for the people. power to the people. And then there are some other things that we have to do in the reforms that will have to occur. Right now, JPSCO has this right of first refusal, so that whenever you need additional capacity, they have a preferred right. We have to abolish that. You know I believe in competition. So it's going to be subject to full competition, and whoever comes with the best technology and the cheapest price will be those generation that will be procured and will be supplied to the grid. So that's one area. Secondly, we believe that our special economic zones have not done as well as was intended because of the high cost of electricity. We believe that as we move for growth, we have to empower these zones to generate their own electricity. And so there's going to be a special carve-out. Just as though each of you will be able to do your own generation, we're going to empower those people who operate in the special economic zone to generate their own electricity as well. There are so many other aspects of energy that we really ought to talk about, but I'm mindful of the time. So let me now shift a little to two important areas. The environment, and the environment is not a third cousin. It's going to be front and center to all that we do as a government. And of course, climate change. The environment, we have a tremendous responsibility, recognizing that whatever we do to increase our capacity to grow could have a negative impact on the environment. But we are all about sustainable growth. And I know whenever a cabinet submission is placed before Mark Golding, he's going to be asking 2 or 3 critical questions. What impact will this have on our environment? And how are we going to mitigate that impact? He's also going to be asking Floyd, what impact will this have on our disabled community and the elderly? Right? But we're talking about the environment now. We have to ensure that our laws are enforced, because we do have elaborate laws, detailed laws that are not being observed. So recently, they went into my constituency and at Fort Rocky, and overnight they dug up the mangrove without regard to the law and to the environment. That can't work any longer. That will not work any longer. We have to ensure that where people are allowed to mine, they mine there, and leave the other areas so that they can be preserved for future generation. I'll say a word about climate change. Now, many people hear about climate change and they don't understand how it relates to you, your lives. Climate change is an existential threat to mankind, and it is as serious as that. And unlike the environment, where we have greater control and we have a tremendous responsibility, our contribution to climate change is minuscule. We don't generate enough industrial activity to affect the tremendous growth in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, or to the greenhouse gas effect that results in the earth warming at record levels. So we're experiencing more drought, more ferocious hurricanes, etc., etc. These are things that the first world countries ought to bear a greater burden and responsibility to deal with. And they're not. Unfortunately, we are hearing only one voice in our region who speak about this. Thank God we have the Prime Minister of Barbados. But that used to be Jamaica's role. That used to be Jamaica's position. And we need to see it in the very same way as Norman Manley and Michael saw apartheid. That you have to mobilize the world community. You have to articulate And you have to go and fight and struggle for the industrialized countries to recognize that it can't be business as usual for them, but very importantly, that they need to put in place corrective measures for mitigation and so on. And I believe that they are being let off the hook. And they have been let off the hook by our government as well. And we need to be bold and fierce in saying to these industrialized countries, you have to take greater responsibility for what is imminent, what is going to destroy mankind in climate change. Such a pleasure to be here in front of you. I hope your energy is still high. Thank you very much.